Hello, Hackintoshing denizens. Since my last video on the subject, I started thinking that with everyone worrying about macOS ending the support for Hackintoshing, that maybe it's not software we have to worry about, but the hardware. Remember when the loss of NVIDIA GPU support was a very big concern to the Hackintosh community? Luckily, AMD Polaris GPUs came on the market just in time and Apple started providing drivers for it. Eventually, in quick order, as High Sierra, the last macOS that was compatible, that supported NVIDIA cards, has faded into the past, NVIDIA GPUs were less and less viable, except as an excuse for the Hackintosh community to laugh derisively on forums when some noob asked if they could get their RTX 2080 to run on a Hackintosh. We're actually a very supportive bunch, sometimes. I did a previous video on how long Hackintoshing might exist. You can check that out. But in a nutshell, there are two camps. Let's just accept for this discussion that no ARM Hackintoshes are coming. The first x86 Hackintosh camp wants to maintain macOS updates in step with real Macs until such time as Apple stops supporting Intel Macs. I can't see Apple not supporting newish Intel Macs for less than 5 years. That would be one large class action suit. Then, of course, there are people who are sitting on older hardware and plugging along just fine on Sierra, High Sierra, Mojave. Whatever the last Intel macOS will be, let's call it Napa Valley, it's going to be supported with security updates for at least 2 more Apple Silicon OS cycles within that 5-year zone. If history is any indication, after that we'll be stuck with Napa Valley for time immemorial. That's not a bad run, but from a GPU perspective, and I mean new GPUs, not dumpster diving for 480s or Radeon 7s. So far, AMD's 5700 XT is supported. Drivers could be better. It looks like Big Sur 11.3 beta contains support for AMD 6800 and 6900 XT GPUs. Oh boy! Wouldn't it be nice to be able to use a 6900 XT? I mean, if anyone could find one. But notwithstanding that, even Mac Pro users are owed that update. That being said, the 6000 series GPUs arrived in October of 2020. Apple is certainly taking its sweet time providing compatible drivers for it. For us, Hackintoshers, we're used to waiting, and we just feel blessed for each compatibility morsel that is tossed into our rat-infested alley. Mac Pro users, I think, should be pissed, as that compatibility should have been available upon the GPU's release, but I've already whinged about that also. If the 6900 XT is the final big iron we'll be able to work with, that's probably not so bad, as long as AMD makes a shit ton of them. More on that later. The other thing we have to be cognizant of is Comet Lake 20,1, iMac Pro 1,1, and Mac Pro 7,1 going to be the last Symbioses we'll ever be able to use? I sincerely doubt Apple will be supporting 11th gen Tiger Lake CPUs with their brand new Intel Xei GPUs, especially considering those nasty Justin Long ads. Oh. So that means maybe the greater risk to Hackintoshers that want to keep current with the latest, fastest Intel offering, it seems Comet Lake is the end of the road. My final thought is that it won't be macOS updates in the near term squeezing many Hackintosh users. It will be when new compatible hardware is no longer manufactured and we will have to scrounge for discontinued bits and pieces at swap meets and Craigslist. For people playing with old portables and perfectly viable HP Pavilions, nothing will really change. I mean, you're running Mountain Lion anyway. But for those of us who Hackintoshed precisely because Apple did not provide the computer we needed and had the experience to maintain it as a daily driver for work and needed the latest OS, we will not be buying old hardware on eBay at inflated prices. Compatible hardware, no longer readily available through retail chains, will be the end of the road for me, and probably for others in the same position. If I can't purchase a warrantyable motherboard, CPU, and GPU, I would not risk it as a daily driver. Of course, Ryzen-Toshes might mitigate that, and perhaps VMs like Docker will pick up the slack. Will I stop fooling around with Hackintoshes? Probably not. I like keeping my existing Ryzen rig up to date, and I won't be replacing my 10th gen Intel Hackintosh anytime soon. It's dandy fast for my purposes, and plus I have an M1 portable upstairs if I need it. Anyways, I think that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe if you haven't. Be seeing you.